Hey, how you doing, everybody? This is Vince, the producer, videoschool.net. You already know, be what you study. I'm a film editor, also a videographer. So today we're just going to talk about Joe Sanchez and what he does, and he's going to give you guys a few pointers about filmmaking, specifically storytelling, to teach you guys a few things about how to go about doing it based on his experience. Alright, so
Welcome to Video School. Be what you study. This is Joe, and I'm here with well, go ahead.
Vince, the producer, Joe.
Vince, the producer. He's about to ask you a couple questions.
Alright, so Joe, what's on your slate for 2014?
Let me clear this up. As a filmmaker, you're also a storyteller. You just tell your stories on a visual platform. Anyway, my slate this year is about 5 projects so far. From those 5, I can say that 2 of them are more than likely going to happen between January and March. The rest, we're still looking for funds.
Alright, so Joe, since you've been here in LA, what have you learned about the film business and compared to what you have heard?
Well, when I was in Florida, the thing about a union and non-union state is in Florida it's very lenient. There's so many things you can get away with while you're on set that really you cannot do here. Here it's more about SAC contracts. And if you're doing a non-union, even a non-union consists of contracts. It's all about the paperwork. If you're doing something on the go, one of the rules that I've heard of, you need permits here for most of the locations that you're shooting at. Unless, from what I understand, is you can actually shoot in public if you don't have sticks in the ground. Unless you're actually, disturbing your neighbors, then you're gonna get shut down right away. But it really comes down to the permits and contracts.
True. Yeah, because we just got kicked off.
Yeah, we just got kicked out of LA Live. Amazing stuff.
So, Joe, who have you worked with?
I've worked with a lot of people. One of my biggest influences was, when I first got here, I worked with this gentleman who became my mentor. But I figured that it was best that we parted ways because I figured I needed to find my own way when things got easier. It's nothing personal. I just figured that he had done enough to pull my weight to get me to a certain point, and I appreciate all he did for me. But because of him, I met a lot of. I actually was on my first set here in LA. I worked with Jeremy London. I worked with Eric Roberts. A lot of B-movie actors. I've done some shorts. And I've been involved in a couple of things. Well, let me start on. In other words, I produced 2 shorts since I got here, and I've been involved in like about 4 features. Go ahead.
Okay. And just a word to anybody who's aspiring filmmakers. What's the most important thing you would have to say about filmmaking?
I guess determination, because obviously, if you really want to get down to it, when you get to LA, you realize how many people are doing it. And it becomes very competitive, but nobody's competing actually. They just do what they do. People think that you're competing, but you're not competing. You just do what you do, and that's the bottom line. Once it becomes a natural thing, you realize that it is who you are.
Okay. So about contracts. Earlier you mentioned something about contracts, especially in LA. You better know your paperwork, right?
You better know your paperwork. Yeah, what about it? Oh yeah, well, I'll give you a tip. Like I said, everything is about contracts. And if you want to know more about contracts, go to the SAGultra.com website. It talks about SAG modified, low budget, ultra low budget, the scales of budgets. Like let's say if you have this much money for the project, that falls into this category. If you have more, it falls into this category. It's a very interesting thing because like I said, a lot of filmmakers come from outside. They get to LA, they think, okay, now we can make a movie. Well, you need insurance on top of that. A lot of people know about insurance. Yeah, you need things to be attached before you can even go on day one, before you can even hit start rolling on that camera on day one. You need certain things to be already attached before anything else can happen.
Okay. And what about storytelling? What do you think? What do you feel is the most important thing to filmmaking or to filmmaking in terms of storytelling?
I think the most important thing about that's a very vague question because it could be a mix of things. Like if you tell a story, I would have to say it doesn't have to be linear or non-linear, because there's a lot of filmmakers that tell a story and it's not linear. Like, let's take Quentin Tarantino for example. Pulp Fiction is a great film, but it's all over the place. It's a story that's not kind of to a linear storyline. I guess it all comes down to the characters and how your characters are portrayed by the actors that you decide, would be perfect for the roles. Then it comes down to performances. So it's really a lot of details that go into telling a good story.
Okay. And so out of all the ways people can yeah, out of all the ways people could come up with telling a story, what are some ways that you feel it's most comfortable for you?
Well, I'm not really a technical guy. I'm not a DP. I've learned that throughout my process of development, because I would say, because every time you do a project, you're always learning. A little bit about me. If you IMDb, I am Joe Sanchez. Joe Sanchez. You'll see my name. You'll see that I've done a number of short films before I moved to LA. But overall, I have about 12 to 14 shorts, and a lot of them I did trial by error. I learned what I do when I do. I mean, in other words, I learned what works for me and what doesn't work for me. So, shooting my own short films has taught me what exactly I like, don't like as a cinematographer or as a visual person. I think I'm better off with another person shooting my stuff. But there's a short film that I do appreciate that I think a lot of work went into it. It's called Delay Reaction. The writing was good. It was a very dark story. A lot of the acting was performances. I figured that it was well casted. The actors could do what they have to do to tell a story. But the tone of the movie itself, when you see it, you'll see that it's a very dark film. I kept the lights very, very dim. I even made the colors a little darker than usual. And I let the characters come to life, and you'll see once you see it. It's called Delay Reaction.
Alright, most definitely gotta check it out, man. And let's see.
That's it, buddy.
Huh?
That's it.
Okay.
You
We gotta follow you now. All right, so Joe, if somebody wanted to, if the people who's viewing this tape want to follow you, where can they follow you?
Well, I'm on Facebook right now, but I also have a like page. You can like me at MJ Presents, www.facebook.com, MJ Presents, or Standard One Media. I believe it's Standard One Media. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I mean, I go by Joe Sanchez. That's the easiest way to find me on Twitter, Facebook, IMDb. Like my IMDb, like my Twitter. But that's pretty much it. Joe, out.